Did you know that over 70% of men over the age of 60 experience some degree of erectile dysfunction, and most don't realize it's not just a bedroom issue, but a warning sign of their overall health? That's the shocking truth many men ignore. We often think of erections as purely about masculinity, virility, or even age. But in reality, erections are a direct reflection of blood flow. If your arteries are clogged, if your circulation is weak, and your erections will suffer long before you notice chest pain or heart problems. In fact, erectile dysfunction can show up years before cardiovascular disease is diagnosed. Your body isn't betraying you, it's warning you. Think about that for a second. We spend so much time worrying about performance, confidence, or lasting longer. But the most powerful factor is circulation. And circulation isn't just about what happens in the bedroom. It's about how your heart, blood vessels, and lifestyle choices support every cell in your body. If blood isn't flowing properly to your brain, you lose focus. If it isn't flowing properly to your muscles, you feel weak. And if it isn't flowing properly to your pelvis, erections become weaker, less reliable, or disappear altogether. So the real question is not, how do I fix my sex life? But how do I take care of my blood vessels? Now, here's where it gets even more interesting. Men often search for a magic pill or a secret food that will fix erectile dysfunction. But let me ask you, if you put a new battery in a car with broken wiring, will it start? Probably not. Pills may boost temporary function, but they don't repair the underlying issue. The real secret is hidden in daily habits, exercise that strengthens your cardiovascular system, foods that protect your arteries, sleep that balances your hormones, and hydration that keeps your blood moving efficiently. Erections aren't just about testosterone, they're about the health of your entire body. Let's challenge a myth right now. Age does not have to mean the end of a satisfying sex life. What ends sexual function is not simply getting older, it's decades of ignoring the body's signals. Smoking, heavy drinking, processed foods, unmanaged stress. These aren't just lifestyle choices, they're silent erosions of your blood flow. And here's the empowering part. And the body is incredibly resilient. Studies show that men who start exercising regularly, even after 60, can significantly improve erectile quality within months. Walking just 30 minutes a day improves circulation. Strength training increases testosterone naturally. Even simple changes, like cutting back on sugar and drinking more water, have measurable effects on vascular health. The question is, are you willing to treat your health with the same urgency as you treat your performance anxiety? But this isn't only about biology, it's about psychology and relationships too. Weak erections can create a silent shame that eats away at confidence. Many men withdraw from intimacy, fearing rejection or embarrassment. But here's the reality: your partner doesn't just want performance, they want presence. They want connection. By addressing the root causes of erectile dysfunction, you're not only restoring physical function, you're rebuilding confidence, intimacy, and the freedom to engage fully without fear. And when you take ownership of your health, you set an example of strength that goes far beyond the bedroom. Let's raise the intensity here. Imagine two paths. On one side, ignoring the signs, blaming age, relying on quick fixes, and slowly watching your vitality fade. On the other side, choosing exercise over excuses, hydration over alcohol, real food over fast food, and communication over silence. One path leads to frustration, shame, and declining health. The other leads to energy, confidence, stronger erections, and a relationship that feels alive again. Which path are you choosing? So here's the mic drop truth. Your erections are not just about sex, they're about survival. They are the body's earliest warning signal that your blood vessels, your heart, and your health need attention. Don't wait until a heart attack forces you to listen. The same habits that restore blood flow to your pelvis will restore vitality to your entire life. Strong erections are not just proof of masculinity, they are proof of health. And health, at any age, is the most powerful form of strength a man can ever own. Have you ever noticed how one anxious thought can completely shut down your body's ability to perform? Here's the shocking truth. Nearly 1 in 4 men who experience erectile dysfunction under the age of 40 have nothing physically wrong with them. The issue isn't their blood flow, their testosterone, or even their age, it's their mind. Yes, the brain is the largest sex organ you have, and when stress, fear, or performance anxiety take over, your body follows. That's not weakness, that's biology. Here's how it works. Erections depend on a delicate balance between your brain, nerves, hormones, and blood vessels. When you're relaxed and aroused, your brain sends signals down the spinal cord, telling nerves in the pelvis to open blood vessels and allow blood to rush into the penis. But when your mind is racing, when you're worried about lasting long enough or satisfying your partner, your brain activates the stress response instead. Adrenaline floods your system, blood vessels constrict, and that signal of arousal gets blocked. You're not broken, you're stressed. And your body is simply responding the way it's wired to survive. Now, let's challenge a myth. Age is not the enemy of sexual performance. Men in their 50s, 60s, even 70s can and do enjoy healthy sex lives. What ends intimacy earlier isn't just biology. It's the cycle of fear and avoidance. The more you worry, the harder it becomes to perform. The harder it becomes to perform, the more you avoid intimacy. Before you know it, the relationship suffers not from erectile dysfunction itself, but from silence, shame, and disconnection. Isn't it ironic that the very thing men fear, losing closeness, becomes the outcome of staying silent? So what can you do? The first step is retraining the brain. Simple breathing techniques that slow the heart rate can calm the nervous system and restore that mind-body connection. Mindfulness, guided meditation, even 5 minutes of focused breathing before intimacy can transform the body's ability to respond. The second step is communication. Telling your partner, "I'm feeling anxious, but I want to connect with you," not only relieves pressure, it builds trust. And the third step is strengthening confidence through action. Regular exercise, especially aerobic activity, boosts endorphins, lowers stress hormones, and naturally increases sexual function. This is not about perfection. It's about progress. Let's push deeper. Ask yourself, are you feeding your nervous system with stress or with calm? Late night scrolling, constant work emails, poor sleep, excess caffeine. All of these overstimulate the nervous system, keeping you in fight or flight mode. But imagine the opposite lifestyle: going to bed on time, unplugging before sleep, exercising daily, and entering intimacy with a calm, centered mind. One version of you is anxious, distracted, and disconnected. The other is confident, present, and capable of giving and receiving pleasure. Which man do you want to be? Here's another truth that too few men hear. Premature ejaculation and erectile dysfunction are often two sides of the same coin. Both are deeply tied to the nervous system. If your nerves are on edge, and you either lose control too quickly or lose arousal altogether. But when you train your brain to relax, strengthen your pelvic floor, and focus less on performance and more on pleasure, both conditions improve dramatically. Your body is not your enemy. It's waiting for you to guide it. Relationships thrive when intimacy is about presence, not pressure. Your partner doesn't want a performance. They want connection. And when you realize that, when you let go of the idea that you have to be perfect, every time you reclaim control, confidence is not the absence of failure. It's the willingness to show up, learn, and grow stronger. So here's the mic drop truth. Your erections are not controlled by age, but by the balance between your mind and body. Stress closes the door to intimacy. Calm, connection, and confidence open it. If you want better erections, don't just train your body, train your brain. Because in the end, the most powerful switch for sexual health isn't in your pelvis, it's in your mind. Here's a fact that might surprise you. Men have a pelvic floor too, and it could be the hidden key to restoring strong, long-lasting erections. Yet most men don't even know it exists, let alone how to strengthen it. Think about it. We train our biceps, our chest, our core, but we completely ignore the group of muscles that controls urination, ejaculation, and even the firmness of erections. Ignoring your pelvic floor is like building a house without reinforcing its foundation. Eventually, cracks appear where you least expect them. So what exactly is the pelvic floor? Picture a hammock of muscles stretching from the pubic bone in the front to the tailbone in the back. For men, these muscles support the bladder, bowel, and yes, the penis. When these muscles contract, they help trap blood inside the penis, keeping an erection firm. When they're weak, blood escapes too quickly, leading to softer erections and less control during sex. Studies show that men who perform pelvic floor exercises can improve erectile function and even reduce symptoms of premature ejaculation and urinary leakage. That's not hype, that's medical science. Now let's confront a common myth: erectile dysfunction is only about hormones or blood flow. While those matter, and muscle control is often the missing piece of the puzzle. You could have decent circulation, but if the pelvic floor muscles can't hold that blood, erections won't last. On the flip side, a strong pelvic floor doesn't just support erections, it improves bladder control, reducing those frustrating leaks when you cough, sneeze, or rush to the bathroom at night. And yes, men over 50 know exactly what I'm talking about. So strengthening your pelvic floor isn't just about sex, it's about reclaiming confidence in everyday life. Here's the empowering part. You don't need a prescription to build this strength. Just like you train your arms or legs, you can train your pelvic floor. The most basic exercise is the male cudgel. You tighten the muscles you'd use to stop urinating midstream, hold for a few seconds, then release. Over time, those muscles grow stronger. In fact, research has found that men who did regular pelvic floor exercises saw significant improvement in erectile rigidity and duration within just a few months. Isn't it incredible that something so simple, something you can do while sitting at your desk, can completely transform your sexual health? But let's go deeper. Why don't men talk about this? Because pelvic floor training feels taboo, even embarrassing. We've been conditioned to think of muscle building as only about what people can see: bigger arms, broader shoulders. Yet the muscles that truly define masculinity, confidence, and control are the ones no one sees. This is the tough truth. Ignoring them costs you intimacy, confidence, and health. Facing them gives you back control over your body and your relationships. Which future are you choosing? Imagine this contrast. On one side, a man who feels frustrated, avoiding intimacy because his erections aren't reliable, quietly struggling with urinary issues that chip away at his confidence. On the other side, a man who invests a few minutes each day in strengthening his foundation, who not only regains firmness and control, but also carries himself with renewed self-assurance in every part of life. The first man is stuck in silence. The second man is thriving. Which one do you want to be? And this isn't just about men. Partners feel the difference too. A man who takes charge of his health, who's willing to work on himself, sends a powerful message. I value you. I value us. And I value my body enough to take care of it. That kind of effort strengthens relationships just as much as it strengthens muscles. So here's the mic drop truth: the pelvic floor is the foundation of male sexual health. If you want stronger erections, better control, and more confidence, you don't need another pill. You need to train the muscles nature gave you. Because real strength isn't just about what people see in the mirror. It's about the power and confidence you carry where it matters most. Here's a truth most men don't want to admit. The number one reason couples stop being intimate after 50 isn't erectile dysfunction. It's the loss of emotional connection. Think about that for a moment. We spend so much energy chasing performance, how long we last, how hard we are, whether we measure up. Yet research shows that satisfaction in long-term relationships depends far more on intimacy than on performance. Your partner doesn't just want you to perform, they want you to be present. And when we confuse the two, we lose both. Here's the biology behind it. Yes, erections depend on blood flow and hormones, but the brain is the true driver of arousal. Oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone, is released when we hold hands, cuddle, or share deep conversations. That same hormone lowers stress, boosts trust, and makes sexual intimacy more fulfilling. On the flip side, performance anxiety floods the body with cortisol and adrenaline, shutting down arousal signals. In other words, intimacy fuels desire, but pressure destroys it. If you've ever wondered why trying harder made things worse, now you know. It's not weakness, it's chemistry. So let's confront a hard truth. Too many men define masculinity by what happens in the bedroom. When erections falter, confidence crumbles. But here's the question: is masculinity really about how long you can last? Or is it about the strength to communicate, adapt, and grow with your partner? Men who tie self-worth to performance often end up in silence, shame, and withdrawal. Men who shift focus to connection, touch, conversation, mutual pleasure, discover that intimacy deepens even when performance isn't perfect. Which version of masculinity do you want to live? This isn't about lowering standards. It's about redefining success. Success is not a flawless performance. It's creating a space where both partners feel valued, desired, and safe to be vulnerable. And here's the empowering truth. When men let go of the obsession with performance, erections often improve naturally. Why? Because the nervous system relaxes, blood flow increases, and arousal signals move freely. Anxiety shuts the door to arousal. Connection opens it. Let's build intensity here. Imagine two paths. On one side, a man who hides behind silence, frustrated by his body, distant from his partner, slowly watching intimacy fade. On the other side, a man who says, I want us to focus on closeness, not perfection. He communicates openly, explores new ways to connect, and discovers that intimacy becomes richer, even if his body isn't perfect every time. One path leads to isolation. The other leads to resilience, growth, and joy. Which future do you want? And this shift doesn't just help in the bedroom. Couples who nurture intimacy report stronger relationships overall. They handle conflict better, they support each other's health, and they experience lower rates of depression and anxiety. Sexual health is not just about erections. It's about how two people share trust, vulnerability, and pleasure. When you prioritize connection, you're not just protecting your sex life, you're protecting your relationship. So what can you do starting today? First, talk. Tell your partner how you feel, not just the frustrations, but the desires. Second, experiment. Intimacy isn't limited to penetration. Touch, massage, kissing, and shared experiences all release the same bonding hormones. Third, care for your health. Exercise, sleep, nutrition. All of these boost blood flow and confidence, but they also show your partner that you're committed to being your best self for them. Intimacy is built on effort, not perfection. Here's the mic drop truth: performance fades, but intimacy lasts. Erections may fluctuate with age, but connection, trust, and presence can grow stronger for a lifetime. If you want a sex life that thrives after 50, stop chasing perfection and start building intimacy. Because in the end, the strongest form of desire isn't about what your body can do. It's about how fully you choose to show up for the person you love. Here's a truth many men don't want to hear: your masculinity is not defined by how hard your erections are, how much testosterone you produce, or how many times you can perform in a night. Real masculinity is measured by your health. And here's the shocking fact: erectile dysfunction, low energy, and urinary problems are often the earliest warning signs of bigger issues like diabetes, high blood pressure, and heart disease. Your body is speaking to you, but the question is, are you listening? Let's break this down. Testosterone, often seen as the hormone of manhood, does play a role in muscle mass, energy, and sexual drive. But here's the science: men with poor lifestyle habits, smoking, lack of exercise, poor diet, inadequate sleep, see their testosterone decline faster. And that decline doesn't just affect the bedroom. It affects mood, motivation, and even relationships. So masculinity is not about chasing higher numbers. It's about protecting the very systems that keep your hormones, blood flow, and vitality in balance. Now let's confront a dangerous myth. Too many men think masculinity means ignoring pain, pushing through exhaustion, or avoiding doctors at all costs. But that's not strength, that's neglect. Ignoring prostate symptoms because it's embarrassing, refusing to see a doctor about urinary changes, or self-medicating for erectile dysfunction isn't bravery, it's gambling with your future. The strongest men are the ones who face the truth and take ownership of their health and make changes that protect themselves and their families. Isn't that what real leadership looks like? Here's the empowering part: small, science-backed habits can completely reshape a man's health even after 60. Quitting smoking improves circulation within weeks. Regular exercise, especially strength training, boosts natural testosterone. A diet rich in whole foods reduces inflammation and protects the prostate. And sleep, something men often sacrifice, restores hormone balance and improves erectile function. These are not just medical tips. They're daily choices that reclaim your strength. But let's go deeper. Masculinity has always been tied to confidence, presence, and the ability to provide, not just financially, but emotionally and physically. When men neglect their health, They don't just lose erections, they lose confidence, connection, and sometimes their role as an engaged partner. Contrast this with the man who chooses self-care. He moves with energy, shows up with confidence, and demonstrates love by protecting his own body. That kind of masculinity inspires respect far more than bravado ever could. Think about this contrast. On one side, a man who avoids the doctor, eats poorly, skips exercise, and slowly loses control of his sexual health and vitality. On the other side, a man who takes responsibility, faces uncomfortable truths, and invests in his health. One path leads to dependency, frustration, and regret. The other leads to energy, intimacy, and lasting strength. Which version of masculinity do you want to embody? And let's not forget relationships. Partners don't measure you by performance alone. They feel your energy, your presence, and your willingness to invest in the relationship. When you prioritize health, you're not just adding years to your life, you're adding life to your years and intimacy to your relationship. A man who values his health communicates something powerful. I want to be here fully for you. That is masculinity at its core. So here's the mic drop truth. Masculinity is not about virility, it's about vitality. Erections, testosterone, and stamina are reflections of health, not the definition of it. If you want to feel strong, confident, and deeply connected in your relationships, don't chase temporary fixes. Build the habits that protect your heart, your hormones, and your prostate. Because at the end of the day, the strongest version of you is not the one who hides behind myths. It's the one who chooses health as the ultimate form of strength.